Merkel Media.
He put it in park, threw open the driver's door, ran out the side of the car, across the front of it, and jumped right off the side of the bridge in front of me.
The only people that really pulled over were truckers.
He said, "We're going Hodge," and he didn't slow down. He went across the median onto the oncoming traffic, but where they could see him coming, they just got out of the way.
I noticed this plane was really low. It went right in front of us, hit the fence, and it spun around. 30 seconds more, he could have hit us.
And I went around that truck, and a guy stepped out from behind the truck and threw a piece of wood, and it shot through my window just like a spear and stuck in the back of the cab of my truck.
That's probably one of the stranger things I've seen.
Welcome to Hammer Lane Legends. That's close enough to 10 seconds as far as I'm concerned. If you have a crazy and wild story you would like to share with us from the road, please get a hold of us. Contact us at hllpodcast@protonmail.com. That's hllpodcast@protonmail.com. Chipper, tell them your name and then tell them your voicemail thingy.
And I'm Brian Chipper.
There you go.
And you can buy me a coffee if you like.
You can do that
Support
too.
the show. Keep us fueled. buymeacoffee.com/hammerlane. We thank the people that have contributed and look forward to others doing the same.
Amen, brother.
You can do what you want. Take a look at the website. Do what you want. Take a look at the gear section. Do what you want. Get a hold of us on all the social media platforms. Do what you want.
Do what you want.
You can email the stories. Do what you want.
This is a totally different show today.
You can leave us a voicemail, 515-585-MERK,
There it is. There's the voicemail line.
515-585-6375. A short story, 5-10 minutes, anything crazy, insane, exciting, different, something you've seen on the road, leave a little voice chat. We'll get to you. Other than that, have at it.
Yeah.
Today's guest is
Scott, how are you doing today?
Hello, fellas. I'm doing good.
Fantastic.
Thank you for bearing with us while we had technical difficulties.
Yeah,
but,
some
couple
things
old
just throw
farts
you
at the,
quick,
at the computer screen.
Yep, literally.
No problem.
All right.
I'm trying to be computer savvy, but I'm so-so myself.
Yeah, I'm not even so-so.
I can do online banking. That's it.
It's like I'm not even so-so, and they leave me to do this on my own. It's like, are you guys crazy? Anyway, it's fun. So
yeah. Okay.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Exactly.
Sure. I'm 53. I started driving around 1993, give or take. It's been a while now. And drove for a little while. I haven't driven in a few years, but just that, I don't know, 2-3 years maybe that I was driving, the stories were almost endless. And unfortunately, the only box I couldn't check was I had a Bigfoot pacing me going down I-79. I can't say that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, me neither. So,
but other weird things happen. But so to start off, we had a garage. That was the family business, Scott Automotive, when my dad was alive. And that started when I was 7 years old. And ever since I could reach the toolbox, I was at the garage helping out and fixing things. We would do road calls, not that was big time trucking, but a little bit of a start to things like that.
Right.
But at some point, the old man said, I don't want you to be a mechanic. It's just not a huge money maker. I bust my butt every day. I don't want to see you do that. And I said, okay, but I am mechanically inclined. I've always done something mechanical. So I decided to go to the Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics.
All right.
And be an airplane mechanic.
Uh-huh.
And I was working at a bicycle shop at the time, and my manager said, you got to give this a try. I think it's right up your alley. Okay. So I did that, didn't graduate. I washed out. And so I moved back home. And just kind of whipped my tail between my legs. I woke up the one morning and I hear on the radio an ad for Swanson's truck driving school, which is no more. I'm pretty sure they got sold to another company. But at the time, it was, I guess, a side business for the local large pharmacy that had been around forever and a day.
Huh.
So I go out there and meet a couple of the guys and talk to them. And I said, you know, I always wanted a job that I could look back and say, you know what, as long as I can remember, I wanted to blank. And this was high up on the list because probably similar to you guys, I watched DJ and the Bear on TV.
Right.
Watched Smokey and the Bandit a gazillion times. All that kind of stuff. And I thought, I think I could do this. So I applied, did all the paperwork, and enrolled in the truck driving school. And that was really great. I had a really good time doing that. It was a lot of fun, actually. And the couple guys, who was a lead instructor who did the classwork stuff, which I can't remember his name. Him and his dad were owner operators. So this guy really, I think, knew what he was talking about. Not only would he give us truck driving knowledge, we'd have to go through the curriculum there and pass all the tests, but he's throwing in a lot of real world life experience, like, watch out for the lot lizards,
right.
Stuff like that. Things to say on the CB, like, hey, Schneider, guess what you're never going to see? Left side of my truck. Fun stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's how I feel in my truck. It's like, oh, well.
Peterbilt with dual stacks, no mufflers, no restrictors. He'd said I would just kind of blow down the highway when I wanted to. But anyway, went through the school, the classroom part, and then the second half was now you're going to go down to the yard and actually get in a truck.
Right.
Do your skills, get out on the road. And they had a couple road trucks, but the main one was a 13-speed Peterbilt that they took the sleeper out of the back, and it just had like a bench seat.
Right.
And we would go out with Wayne, the instructor, and there would be 3 or 4 of us in the truck, and we'd, stop somewhere and take turns and whatnot.
Right.
And sitting in the back on the bench, and now we have a student driver. Wayne always rode shotgun, of course, to keep an eye on things. And you could tell how good or bad you were doing by how many cigarettes Wayne smoked.
By the smoke he was pushing out.
Oh, man.
Wow.
As much as the beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost with a couple of them guys.
Yes.
I'd like to think I did pretty good. He did tell me I was doing something wrong with my high beams. Like, I think I was using the high beams like, you should get out of the way. And then he says to me, that really means you're going to let that guy do something. So if you're flicking your high beams, somebody's going to maybe pull in front of you another truck. He's like, so be careful when you're doing that. Well, okay, good tip.
Right.
Okay, good deal. So I went through the school, had a bunch of job offers, which I was surprised at, but then later on, not surprised because that's, the turnover rate was high then, I guess. I don't know if it still is or not. It might be, but, and the job offer that sounded the best was from Warner Enterprises.
Okay.
So that's who I signed on with.
Uh-huh.
And their deal, you had to go out to the main depot, which I believe was in Indiana or Columbus. Out in Ohio somewhere, I believe is where I went.
Okay.
And get a little classroom time there and meet with the, the HR guy, the safety guy, and all that stuff. And they put you on one road test, make sure you're not going to crash the truck, I assume. And
they're hoping anyway.
Yeah. There was a guy that I went to the school with. I can't remember his name either, but he was an odd bird, but he also got signed up with Warner.
Uh-huh.
And he says, do you care if I ride out with you? We have to go to the same place the same day. I said, no, that's fine. So my dad rented a minivan, and mom and dad drove me and this other guy out to the place. And I remember stopping somewhere to gas up the van, and we're going to get, something to eat, something to drink. And he gets out of the van and he says, I got to call dispatch and, let them know where I'm at. I said, okay, yeah, no problem. And he goes in the truck stop, and we're all looking at each other like, you don't even have a job there yet. Why do you need to check in? He was a little bit of a story embellisher, I think. But he didn't kill anybody on the way there, so that was nice.
That's a plus, yeah.
So we get to and I find out a little later, I passed my safety test with the safety guy or the test drive. He did not. And so he didn't make it. I think he either ran into some tree branches with the top of the truck, ran through a red light, or something happened there. But so I never saw that guy again after that day. But
right.
So made it through the safety drive. And at some point, they had room for me in the hotel, but at some point shortly thereafter, they said, okay, we're going to put you with a trainer. That's our shtick. And you'll put on so many miles with a trainer. And then if he says you're good, then we'll get you your own truck. Okay, fine. So he says, we have 2 guys that we could put you with. One guy is a little bit younger guy, very good behind the wheel, doesn't smoke, listens to nothing but AC/DC.
Okay.
Okay. The other choice is an older guy that I think cut his teeth on like a 1-stack Mac with a window in the back, that kind of thing. And he's got plenty of miles under his belt, and he does not smoke either. And he's a country music guy.
Okay.
And I said, I thought I would learn more from the older guy. So I went with him. His name was Larry. So I got hooked up with Larry, and I'm living out of the duffel bag, as you do. And
right.
We start driving, and it occurs to me fairly quickly that Larry is more or less just using me like a second logbook.
Nice.
And he's not a huge teacher type guy. Now, he did show me a couple things, but not so much. But he would drive. He'd be driving. I'm like, hey, Larry, I'm hitting the bunk. Okay. I go to sleep. It was I think this was a cab over. Yeah, and it was double bunk cab over Freightliner. And I would sleep on the bottom when he was driving. Then at night, if we were both going to sleep, I'd crawl up to the top bunk because I don't know that he could get up there. And I'd go to sleep and wake up. Larry's still driving. Larry just drove and drove. I don't know if Larry blinked. I don't know what. He was like a machine. He was a serious truck driver. Very good at it. And I remember sitting in the shotgun seat, and I got my thermos out. I'm trying to pour a cup of coffee, and I spilled a little bit. And before I knew what was going on, Larry had his seatbelt undone. He's reaching up to the overhead compartment, not taking his eyes off the road, but to grab the paper towels he keeps up there and hands them to me. I'm like, okay, Larry is tuned into his little work zone here.
Wow, he certainly is.
So I clean up my coffee mess, and okay, on we go. And a bunch of stuff went on. Like I said, not a huge teacher, but I know that he knew a lot, and I knew I could learn something from him. I was trying to get it out of him,
Right.
But now this truck had a new to me anyway, an Eaton Fuller Super 10 transmission. You guys know what that thing is?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's old by now. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a 10-speed tranny. You move the stick 4 times, you're in 10th gear. There's a slider on the shifter.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of go almost like high-low range, but just you move this button every time you shift. So first to second, you just move this little dial. Just unload the gear set, take your foot off the gas, slide the slider, you're in second. And on up till you get to 10th gear. I'd never seen this, driven it, surely not in the truck driving school. We had a normal 13-speed. And boy, I just had a hell of a time getting the hang of this thing.
Right.
So much so that when we would both sleep and I'm in the upper bunk, I have of course, every trucker has the 2 or 3 D-cell mag light for stuff. I'm up there laying in the bunk, practicing shifting, using that mag light. Because I'm like, I got to get this. I just have to.
Right.
Eventually I did, but at some point I'm driving and we're on an off ramp. We're headed to a way station. I can't get it to drop a gear. So I don't know what gear I was in. And he's trying to let me, figure it out. And I'm not.
Right.
And he finally yells over. This is a very quiet, older country gentleman type fella. And finally he yells over to me, "You got your foot on that clutch?" "Yes, I have my foot on it." "Well, take it off." Okay. So I take my foot off the clutch. We're in neutral. And now he puts his hand on my hand on the shifter and trying to find a gear. And he says, "Okay, rev it up a little bit more." And the truck slid into gear. And the light bulb starts flickering in my head. And he says, "Okay, now rev it up 800 RPM, whatever it was." And I drop the gear. And I get stopped. I don't run into anybody. We go through the chicken coop and back out on the road. And he's now teaching me to shift without the clutch. And I said, "Well, why didn't you teach me that a week ago?" This would have made this adventure way more easy.
Right.
He says, "I'm not supposed to teach any new drivers how to drive without the clutch." But you could tell Larry's been driving. The only time he touched the clutch was a red light and backing up, So from then on, I shifted that thing without the clutch. Much, much easier.
What a transition, huh?
Oh my God. I mean, I could do it, obviously with the clutch. Once I got the hang of it with no clutch, then it was way easier with the clutch. So it all started to kind of come together.
Right.
So I was very happy about that. I did not want to fail this. I spent a bunch of money at the truck driving school. I went through that. I got a job with this company. And, in my early 20s, I didn't know if this was going to be my lifelong career, but I surely didn't want to screw anything up. And coming from a mechanics family, I had a rough idea of what was going on, in that transmission, in the rear end. I'm pretty easy on equipment, and I didn't want to wreck anything, and about the school, I forgot. There were some guys there at the truck driving school that never drove a stick shift. And I couldn't believe that. I'd at least drove something, stick shift.
Right.
But I couldn't understand that. You're going to go from, your automatic Honda or whatever to an 18-wheeler. And so they had this old 79 Ford Bronco there with a 4-speed. And they would put those guys in that Bronco to learn how to drive stick shift. And then move them into, some of the big trucks. There was one automatic there that they used for us to learn our back up through the cones skill, which you could concentrate on steering, of course. But
right.
I said to the mechanic one day, "How many clutches has this Ford had?" He says, "I have no idea, but we keep 5 in stock." Anyway, there was some guys there that like, "No, they're thrilled. I just learned how to drive a stick shift." I'm like, "Oh my God. Okay, buddy. Good. Hope it works out for you." Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I must have been listening to some older shows. Because in my notes here, I wrote, I just listened to the episode with Kim and her troubles with the Super 10 transmission.
Right.
I don't even remember what show that was now, but
off the top of my head, I don't know. But
that must be the last one I listened to.
Yep, but I do remember that conversation. Yes.
All right. So anyways, I go through the training with Larry, trainer number 1, and they said, "Okay, Larry signed off on you. You're good." Trainer number 2, no choice. You're getting this guy. Okay. And, I don't know, non-smoker, they just kind of made sure they put non-smokers with non-smokers. That's about it, which I appreciate.
Yeah, definitely.
So this guy was a retired out of the Air Force and drove for Werner for a bunch and then worked his way up to being the team guy, and he's a teacher. Okay. Very nice guy. Now, this guy really taught me a ton. He was a very good instructor, and if I'd have had him first, maybe I'd have stuck with it. I don't know, but he was really good. He would constantly not harping on me or being mean about it or anything, but he would always tips when I'm driving, just trying to teach me, as he was supposed to.
Right. Yeah, it's helpful.
Oh, immensely. So one of his little rules was, when you get to the truck stop, just turn the CB off because it's just nothing but a bunch of goofy chit chat. You got the CB shop squawking in your ear, and just the lot lizards or whoever. He says you don't need the distraction. Just get in there, park your truck, don't hit anything, and then if you want to hang out BS on the CB later, fine. Right. I said okay, no problem. Didn't want the distraction when I'm trying to park. Anyway, I'm still kind of new at this. I forgot to turn the CB off, but the squelch was up and nobody was talking, so it's dead silent. So this guy, he's riding shotgun. I'm gonna park, and I think it was I'm just gonna back into sight side. I'm backing into a spot. He gets out, and it's getting dark, or it is dark out, and he's out in the front of the truck, with the big hand signals, like he's backing in a boat. And this new guy, and he's doing that, and now here comes some yo-yo on the CB. Man, look at that Warner driver over there. He needs somebody to help him back in his truck. And without missing a beat, I'm still backing up. I grabbed the mic and I said, buddy, if you were making as much money as I would, you could hire a little guy to help you back up when you're tired at night. Hung the mic up and nothing but laughter on the CB. Of course, I never told the trainer about that little story.
Right.
I thought that was a not need to know thing.
Yep, I hear you. There are things that are just, you keep it to yourself. Like, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I had a huge shitting grin on my face when he got back in the truck. Like, but I'm just happy to be in Montana. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wherever. But he did teach me a bunch. And I'm sure at some point I said, you care if I shift without the clutch? He says, nope. If you know how to do it, go for it. So I did that. So that was no problem. It was another truck with a Super 10. So I had the hang of it by then.
Right.
And also, let's say you're in, 10th gear and you are really wanting to drop some gear. So I got the hang of using the Jake brake to bring down the RPMs of the engine. You don't use the slider. I think I'd let it fall down to maybe 500 RPM, rev it up 1,000 more, so 1,500, and then you could drop 2 gears at once.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty helpful. Once you got the hang of the whole ensemble there, the Jake, dropping 2 gears if needed, no clutch, rev it up, it was the little orchestra. And at some point I thought, I am really getting good at this. I am the shit. I'm getting a little cocky.
At me.
At some point, our truck broke down more than we could fix it. So he says, I'm going to have to call a wrecker and get this thing towed to Freightliner. Okay. Well, I'm sort of glad it happened, because I was always thinking, what do you do if the truck breaks? I can only fix so much. They required you to have a toolbox on board with some hand tools and, duct tape and baling wire and a hammer. And, I don't know how much of that I can fix.
Right.
And I did have to do a little something when I finally did get my own truck, but I'll mention that in a minute. So we are broke down. He calls the wrecker. Now here comes a wrecker. You guys know, a tractor trailer wrecker, big boy wrecker. And this guy backs up, hooks up to the truck. Now we get in, it had a sleeper with, similar to the school, had like a bench seat in the back. And the teacher guy, he's riding shotgun. I'm in the back on the bench. And like within minutes, I am in complete awe of this guy driving this wrecker. He's one of the cool guys that has all the air let out of the seat. He's sitting low.
Right.
In this, he's smoking a cigarette. He's talking to my instructor. We're playing the radio. He's talking on the CB. He's shifting with no clutch, working the Jake brake, and towing our 53-foot trailer and our tractor. And he's just as smooth can be. And I'm like, oh, wow, I thought I was good. This guy got it nailed.
Right.
It was really cool to see like a serious professional tow truck driver who's towing a tractor trailer. It was pretty cool. That was good to see.
Yeah, definitely. Like, hey, somebody knows how to do this.
Yeah, he had it nailed. It was very, very good to see. Learned a lot, and I could tell you something about my current job very similar to, I didn't believe that was possible until I saw it. And I can throw that on at the end. But anyways, so I go through with the second trainer. He signs off on me and says, when we get back to the whatever depot, they're probably going to assign you your own truck. I said, okay, great. So I'd call home at night, when we're in the truck stop, eating what we have to eat. Which is constant at every truck stop was the breaded pork chops.
Right.
Seemed to be
the standard. Yes.
Oh man, I'm sure I gained a few pounds eating at the truck stop every night, but I will. And every night I'd call home and talk to mom and dad, and the old man would say, "Where are you at tonight, boy?" And I'd say, "Dad, you know what? I couldn't tell you. I could tell you what highway I'm on. I could tell you what exit we got off. I'm not sure what state I'm in right now." It was just becoming a blur.
Yeah.
Because we were covering so many miles because we had 2 logbooks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Out to California, through Texas. I mean, I hit every state, at least with, probably with the second trainer, but at least through the both of them, I was in every state at least once or twice.
Wow.
So that was cool. I did get to see the country, which I'd always wanted to. I remember one time with the first trainer, Larry, I woke up and he says, "Oh, you just missed it. We ran over a coyote." Oh, okay. That's awesome, Larry.
Thanks for sure.
You see that wee little line through the windshield way out there on the horizon? I said, "Yep." He goes, "That's the Rocky Mountains. And in a few hours, we'll be there." Okay. And I'd never been out west like that before. Well, before you know it, few hours later, luckily Larry's still driving, so I could rubberneck out the window. We're on just I-70, going through the Rocky Mountains and up and down the mountains, and we're down in the low side of the training. We're just chugging up these hills and mountains, and it was really spectacular for me to see. I'd never seen anything like that. I'd never been west of the Mississippi before, so that was awesome.
Yeah,
a lot of good sights.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? It really is kind of cool. This country has a lot to offer as far as sights go.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's again one of those, you got to see it to believe it. So I'd call home at night again, and I'd say, "I saw the sign." This was my line to the old man. "I saw the sign for the Grand Canyon, but we're on the job. We can't play tourist. I saw the sign for the big arch in St. Louis. I saw the sign for New Mexico, Area 51. I got that one. All kind of stuff." I'm like, someday, I'm going to get back here and see all this stuff.
Right.
One thing Larry did teach me, though, we're going down, I think we're in California, going down the Grapevine. And he says, "You know what? You can go down this hill too slow a bunch of times. You can only get on too fast once." So there's a bunch of trucks were passing us, and he's doing it really good. He's got the brake brakes cooking, and he's on and off the brakes, and we're very safely going down the mountain. And he's like, "See that guy? That's no good." And a couple of trucks had passed us. You could smell the brakes, and he's kind of shaking his head like, "We might see him on the emergency ramp. We'll see."
Right.
The runaway. And I did see a few of those, and he was explaining that to me, how that works. Because I'm thinking, if I ever have to run up one of those, it's going to be a large pile of brown in this truck when the cops finally get me out of here.
Right.
Holy cow. That looks a little shaky.
Yes.
But anyway. So they issued me my own truck and number, whatever. That's your another cab over Freightliner.
Right.
Super 10. They must have ordered a bunch of them little buggers. But I get in the truck, and the guy who had it before me, serious smoker. So I had to kind of clean that up a little bit because, I had to live in the thing. And I'm looking the truck over. It has just about 500,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Which, I'm like, well, they surely ain't going to give a new nice truck to the new guy. So I figured that, but so on I go with my truck driving. It did break down once on me. I think I was in Colorado, and I had to jack the cab up to, I think I fixed the coolant line or something, and whatever it was, I was able to fix it. And they also wanted you to keep a couple gallons of water or coolant on board, and I was able to fix the truck.
Nice.
And get back on the road. I was happy with that.
Heck yeah.
So was the dispatcher. Let's see here. Let me double check some of my notes here.
Sure.
Canada, that was a big deal. They sent me to Canada. I was on my way to somewhere out west, and the dispatcher, I don't know if you guys are probably familiar with this, the Qualcomm device on the dash and the little satellite thing up on the roof. And
Right.
their message is, we need you to go to Blaine, Washington, and swap trailers with our driver. They won't let him across the border for something he did when he was a teenager or something like that. That came up when they checked him out, and they're not going to let him in.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So I get up there. Now, I had been through into Canada as a kid on vacation with mom and dad, in the old Cadillac. We'd go across the Peace Bridge, and like a tourist, no big deal.
Right.
And I surely never did it out west going up into British Columbia. So I'm getting closer, go to Blaine. I get to the border crossing. Oh, somewhere in there, I also figured out I had to buy a waffle plate for the fuel tax sticker I had to have while in Canada. That took me a little bit to figure out, but got that. So I can hear this guy on the CB. And I know I can see, border coming up to Canada. Okay, I'm getting closer. I don't see another big blue Orner truck anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And I'm driving, and I get to the border, and I say to the guy, I'm looking for another driver. I'm supposed to, swap trailer. I got an empty, and that guy, I can't remember exactly what happened there. Either he shrugged his shoulders and went, I don't know, or what. And I go through, I guess I thought the guy was further away. I don't know, but he's getting further and further away on the CB. And he says, finally, no, I'm at the border crossing. I'm back behind the big building because they pulled me over. They wouldn't let me through. Oh, okay. So I had to go up the road a few miles, flip-flop around, come back through the border crossing,
right,
flip-flop around, and then I finally find this guy. Okay, swap trailers. Now I'm on my way. I have a pretty full trailer of Toro lawnmowers, weed whackers, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I was going to a Toro distribution center or something not too far into Canada, right over the line somewhere. I can't remember what town now, but wherever I was, it was a huge, sort of like a Chinatown. A lot of people there were from Asia.
Okay.
Which, all right. So I get through the border, and it's getting dark, and the logbook's about at the end of the day. And I get on the CB and looking for somewhere to park the truck, get something to eat. And the guy says, right up the road there on the left is a restaurant, and there's truck parking. But you'll have to go down, flip-flop, come back. I said, yep, I got it. I've done that before. Okay. So I do that. I find this huge parking lot, easy. Don't need the guy to help me back the truck up. I'm good at it now. Lots of room. Perfect.
Yes.
And I go in there, and I'm going to get something to eat. And I'm in a restaurant, and I'm having dinner, and I was going to be there for the night and be there for a while. So I ordered a beer to go with dinner. And I see the waitress is going over to this little window to get the beer. And there's a lot of blinky lights and stuff happening on the other side of this wee little window. And I said, I finished my dinner, and I said, what's over there? She says, that's the bar. Oh, okay. So I paid for my stuff. I'm like, I'm going to go over there and, have one more beer. Okay. Finish that beer, go find the bar. And, of course, I'm there by myself, having a beer, and over the sound system in the place is a hockey game. I'm in Canada. That all fits. Okay. And it wasn't the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't know who was playing.
Right.
So I'm drinking my beer and just relaxing from the day. It was an adventure, figuring all this stuff out. Now I'm in a foreign country. Okay. Pre-passport also, of course. This is early 90s.
Right.
And so I'm having a beer. Now the lights dip a little bit. The hockey game goes away, and music starts.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And now here's the spotlight. And I didn't notice this before. There's a little round I'm going to call it a stage, maybe about 3 foot around.
Right.
And this girl come out of the side room or whatever and stands in the thing. Now this platform raises up out of the floor, maybe 5 feet or so. And she's dancing around. I'm like, what is this? Then she starts taking her clothes off. And this other guy says, yeah, pretty much every bar around here is also a strip bar. I'm like, okay. That's handy. Like this little surprise for the lonely truck driver who just wasn't expecting that.
Welcome to Canada.
Oh, that was too funny.
So
had another beer and, enjoyed the show and back to the truck. Okay. Head out the next morning to find this place. Now I'm headed more into the town. I have an address, of course, no cell phone. And this Qualcomm device was merely like text messaging with the dispatcher. So all I have is my huge trucker map.
Right.
And, laying out the route. Okay, I'm trying to find this place. And I either got lost or I don't know what. My dad should have been the truck driver. He could find anything. I have almost no sense of direction. It's a strong career, but it is what it is. But I get on the CB and I'm going, anybody know where the whatever is? And there's silence. There's really nothing on channel 19. And finally, I see another American truck, company truck driver. He gets on. He says, "Hey, Werner, are you wondering where everybody is?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "This is Canada, brother. Everyone is on channel 1. Oh, good tip. Okay.
Yeah, nice to know.
Drop it down to channel 1. Oh, wow, same as channel 19. Except everyone's talking with a Canadian accent and ending every sentence with, hey. Okay. Yeah. Good day, hey. Just like Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah. You're the first person in all of I have not heard anybody refer to them in years. It's like, holy cow, it's awesome. Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Good day.
Hilarious.
Oh, my word.
Good
yeah. Good day.
Good day. I so wanted to do that. I'm sure you guys have done this or have heard it or realized. It seems like when you get on a CB, you kind of just adopt this kind of Southern accent.
It seems like it does go that way, doesn't it?
And you get on the CB and you're like, breaker, how about some direction down here to the Waffle House, you boys? I'm pert near hungry. You get way more replies than if you sound like you're from Boston.
Right.
Or Canada, or some other, so I quickly picked that up, and country music, and I can do a couple little voices, sort of a little bit here and there. So I'm like, I fell right into that. I so wanted to do a Canadian guy while I'm in Canada on the CB, but I couldn't do that. And then like, well, I don't know where I'm going, because they'd figure out I'm not who I'm sounding like.
Right.
So.
Well, just as long as you're on the way down to Timmy Hortons, you're okay, eh?
That's right.
I don't know what he said, but yeah.
Oh, important. Wow, that's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I get the directions. I finally find the place.
Uh-huh.
And it's a distribution center, and they have a dock in the back. And luckily, I got pretty good at not just driving right up on the place and then sticking this truck and being in a bad situation. I think I parked a couple blocks away, walked down to assess the situation, because it looked a little snug where I was going to go. And I went in the building and I said, "I got your lawnmowers. I'm from Warner Enterprises." And, Oh, another thing they told us in the truck driving school, as my memory is working, the guy says, keep a clean shirt on hand, little deodorant, little baby powder, because if you've been in that truck for 4 or 5 days,
right,
and you look like nobody wants to talk to you, freshen up before you go in a person's business and be perfect. Okay, good tip.
Right.
And I did, and I always tried to do that as best I could. So I go in and, I got your lawnmowers and stuff, and he says, okay, you need to back in here. Now, I know you guys can't, I'm making drawings with my hands. I know you guys can't see that. It was a really long building, and there are cars parked diagonal against the brick wall of this building.
Mm-hmm.
Then from the back of each car, there's enough room for a tractor trailer, and then there's a fence, and then, somebody else's property. You have to back down this pretty long straightaway.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, this is quite a while now. I'm going to say 300 feet. I don't know. You had to back down here. Now, this is a jack the tractor, non-sight side, bump the dock, get it all twisted up.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. And luckily, right before I did this, here comes a local guy, Canadian guy, local guy with a day cab and a wee little, 25-foot trailer or something. And he's going to go in. By all means, brother, you go in there and do it first. And let me watch, because I haven't done something this snug maybe since truck driving school. Surely not with this 53-foot trailer. And he did his. He unloaded, because there was 2 docks back there, but no way 2 trucks could get back there at the same time. So he did his thing. He unloaded, and he was kind of helping me a little bit. And he said, right before I get in the truck to do it, he says, I've never seen a 53-foot trailer go in here. Good luck.
Wow.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I get maneuvered out in the street, and I'm starting to back straight down here, and keeping an eye on the mirrors. I'm getting good at this. It's daytime, thank God. It's not raining or snowing. I can see out of the mirrors really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've had at least 1 cup of coffee, so my brain is on. At one point, I look out the passenger side mirror, and then I'm looking out the window, of course, and I can see all of these little Asian faces plastered up against the glass, watching what the hell I'm going to do. Because apparently they never saw a 53-foot trailer come back here either.
Whatever, it lends all kinds of confidence, doesn't it?
Look at the big truck,
Where's he going?
Yeah, an audience when I run into one of their cars.
Right.
Okay. So
or witnesses when you run into one of their cars.
Yeah. Oh, and there was one car parked kind of at the entrance. And I did go in and I said, whatever that brown Toyota or whatever is, do you think you get that guy to move his car to help me out a ton? And the guy flat out said, nope, that guy's kind of a jerk and he is not going to move his car. I'm like, okay, well, when it's up under the ICC bar, okay.
Right.
I didn't hit it, but it would have been big help. So anyways, I'm backing down here. Everybody in the plant is watching me. and I start, I'm trying to calculate it in my head. Okay, I got to start jacking this wheel to the left about now. And I get it. I think I took 2 whacks at it. I bumped the dock. I had, it's a cab over. I had them Dolly Parton mirrors sticking out front.
Right.
I had a couple of tree branches stuck in the Dolly Partons because I was up against the fence and the tree. I bumped the dock though. I did it. I was sweating profusely when I got out of the truck.
Uh-huh.
And I got out, and that guy was either in the building or he was around the other side of the truck. But I get out, arms raised, Rocky fashion, like, I did it. I didn't hit anybody. Nobody died.
Hey, man.
It was pretty funny.
And then he says, you're in the wrong dock.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the punchline.
Yeah. Can you move that over 9 feet?
Right.
No. No, I cannot.
Yeah, it is where it is.
Yeah, that worked out. They unloaded. Okay, off I go. Luckily, with that experience, I used to another load. I was going to a hardware store with, I couldn't believe they sent me with this load because I buttoned up the trailer and I'm looking in there. I can hardly see what's in there. It's way down in the dark. I said, you don't have a straight truck or something to put this on? I mean, it was hardly anything. He says, nope, you're it. Okay. And left with that load. And that was a very little hardware store. They did have a dock for a tractor trailer, but it was along the road. And of course, I come around the bend and I see it, the cab's facing the dock, of course. And so I had to go down, flip-flop around, come back, and now wait on traffic to try and move over and bump that dock. I did get in there, but what a pain in the butt that one was.
Oh my word! Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, if it's just like a regular, regular size hardware store, I mean, we're not talking Home Depot or Lowe's, right?
No. Had a bad experience at one of those, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm like, I have my Canadian training here, so I should be able to bump the dock, no problem.
Right.
And I did, and okay, like they were done unloading, 10 minutes maybe. I'm like, okay, see you boys later. All right, so off I went. Let me double check my notes here. There's the Toro thing. Also while I was up around Blaine, Washington, I get a call from the dispatcher on the Qualcomm device, and he says, "Hey, I need you to shuffle some trailers around for me."
Right.
And I'm like, what's that mean? And at the time, I was BSing with another Werner guy who was an owner-operator on with Werner. And he says, "You don't need to do that. Let me tell you what to do." Now, this guy had some miles under his belt for sure. He knew what he was doing, but he could work the system a little bit. He says, "Get yourself some tinfoil. Go to a truck stop, go get some tinfoil. Okay. Climb up the back, wrap it around that satellite white disc thing, and you won't have a signal."
They used to put
Okay.
They used to put 5-gallon pails over that. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh yeah, okay. He gave me the tinfoil truck. I said, that sounded good. I didn't really feel like jockeying them trailers around.
Right.
So I did that for a day, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember now. But I take it off. The Qualcomm fires back up. And I said, I didn't feel good. I'm sleeping in the cab. He says, "Okay, you ready to jockey them trailers around for me now?" I'm like, dang.
Wow. He didn't find anybody in that amount of time.
No, I'm sure he knew that trick too. So.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So I end up having to do that anyway. So, fun. Practice with the landing gear and the airlines.
Yeah.
Okay, fun.
Just what you need.
Yeah, right. Like I needed that. Okay, so let's see. Another trip was I was in St. Louis. I had to go to Budweiser or Budweiser / Frito-Lay. For some reason, it's coming to mind, but Budweiser for sure. I had an empty trailer, had to go pick up the loaded trailer and, take that somewhere. Okay. And it's nighttime. And I got the directions I had written down. I have an address and I find it. Here's all these trailers. Oh, okay. I just got to find trailer, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I locate this trailer, drop my empty, hook up to this one, double check the doors are locked and I got no flat tires. Okay. Up with the landing gear. I'm going to start taking off now. Again, it's nighttime. I don't know what made me do this, but this very large area with all these trailers for Budweiser, I don't know what it was before, like there was a building there or a plant or a few of them, because there were these concrete pads, maybe, I don't know, 5 to 7 inches tall, like there was a building there or something before. But you could tell everybody just drives over them and nobody jacked them up with a jackhammer and all. So, okay. I got the truck in first gear and I'm just let out the clutch and it's just kind of putting along. Because again, nighttime, just making sure I don't screw anything up. And, Spidey sense starts tingling and I look in the mirror. Now, this, how slow it is in first low box there, it's creeping. And I could have sworn I saw I'm moving, the trailer's moving, the tandems are not moving. They're sliding. And I hurried up and put in the clutch and stopped and, pulled the brakes, I jump out. Somebody moved the tandems on the trailer and did not lock them in place.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
helpful.
If I wasn't paying attention, and they were butt up against one of these concrete pads. That's why I mentioned that. So they were staying put, and I'm driving. I would have ripped the tandems right off the back end of this trailer.
Yeah, if you'd have just pulled out.
I had a big old mess of beer.
Yeah. Not good.
and no pretzels to go with it,
Yeah, exactly.
I did get on the clock. I'm like, you know what? Whoever had trailer 1, 2, 3, 4 last, you got to tell him to make sure he locks in the tandems. We almost had a catastrophic beer problem here. So.
Right.
But I found it, luckily, somehow, some way. So on I went with that job. That was a little much. I was getting the hang of, like I said before, I was getting the hang of driving that 10-speed with the Jake and, go up 2 gears or down 2 gears if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really getting in tune with the truck. This is a cab over, and, I could really swing it in some places. And I was, like I said, I was really getting the hang of the truck. And I remember somewhere I was going, I'm in the right turning lane. The light is green. Traffic to my 2 o'clock is stopped, of course. And I remember I don't know why this stuck in my head, maybe because of this lady's face. I kind of steered a little to the left and then hard right, and I jacked the truck around. I'm not speeding, but I'm probably going a little faster than I should have been. And I think I came within 3 feet of her bumper with this tractor trailer. And I knew I had it, and I'm zinging around. I got Waylon Jennings blaring on the radio, I'm sure, and the CB's cooking. And her eyeballs got big as saucers. And I think I looked down and smiled and just kind of kept on going. I was kind of getting in tune. I was having a good time at some point. Now,
yes.
I know you guys know, just sitting behind the wheel, logging miles and miles and miles, and that's boring.
Right.
Hence the CB and all that craziness, which was a heck of a lot of fun.
Right.
And I knew I was getting tired because my left eyelid would start getting sore from being open so long. Like it's time to find somewhere to bunk out.
Right.
But whenever I'd get to a place and have to do all that maneuvering and the little bit harder skilled driving, I guess, boy, I really enjoyed the heck out of that. I was having a good time. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this. When I was with that second trainer, we were somewhere and he was sick. He had the cold or flu or something. So I was doing a bunch of the driving. And he finally said, we got to shut it down for the night. We both need some sleep. Okay. So we found a truck stop and just happened to be in the back of this, like a little bar or something, and a pool table. And I used to like shoot and pull a little bit. So I went in the back. He's sleeping in the truck, sick as a dog. I didn't want to be in the truck with him anyway. I don't want to get sick. So I go in the back and these guys are shooting pool. You want to shoot? Yeah, okay, shoot pool. Nothing, too crazy. We have a couple beers. We had a pitcher of beer. We're shooting pool, having a good time, shooting the shit. Here comes the bartender in through these swinging doors from where the pool table is. And he says, is there a Scott Wickham back here for Warner? I'm like, I'm in another state, very far from home. Nobody knows me. I'm like, oh, this can't be good.
Yeah, exactly. Your name comes up in another state. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Is it the cops or, what's going on? And yeah, that's me. He says, your co-driver is looking for you. Oh, okay. So got to finish up. Finish the beer, finish the game real quick. Okay. Well, a message come through on that Qualcomm saying, we need you to drive. And I guess he didn't tell them he was sick. I don't know. And we got to go right now. I'm like, again, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm like, hey, Bob, I've had a few beers. And he said, I can't drive. Can you drive? I know you had, whatever. So I had 2 beers. I said, yeah, I can drive. I mean, I'll be safe. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was going to be safe. Right. And we weren't going far, but we did have to pick up this trailer before a place closed or something like that. And so I accidentally had a chance to drive the big rig with a couple beers in me.
I accidentally did.
purely accidental.
Yeah, that is amazing, isn't it? Again, so, Murphy shows his head wherever he can.
Oh, geez. Yeah, what timing.
Yep.
having a good time finally. Whatever. Okay. So you guys probably can't put these two together, but very similar to an old Land Rover. Remember, like a really old one, like from Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom.
Yeah.
What old ones? Okay, I had 1 or 2 of those, And we'd go every year to Canada to this big Land Rover rally, and wasn't far from where we camped to where we would go do a little bit of trail riding. And it's very similar to the truck. After 2 beers, boy, the truck is smoother. Everything's nice, very calm. It's very. I had a little chuckle to myself, but I was doing it safely. And we didn't have far to go, so I did have to do that, unfortunately. But oh well. Let's see. That's the lady that pulled the chain. Okay, but this. I think I was on the East Coast somewhere. I'm in my own truck, and it's snowing. It's pretty bad out, and I'm sure you guys, as you know, when it's really bad out, the only thing out on the highway is cops and tractor trailers.
Right.
And I got running with these 2 other guys. And I said, you guys care if I sort of tag along with you? I have an empty trailer, and I'm going slow anyway because this it's feeling skittery, Anyway, yeah, no problem, Warner. So I'm in the back, and again, nothing but cops and our 3 trucks. We're kind of putting along, and at some point, we all agreed that we need to pull over on the shoulder and slap the wipers because we can't see. They're so iced over, can't hardly see the road.
Right.
We all agree. Okay, good. Mile number 21, we're all going to pull over. Good deal. Okay. So we're driving in convoy. Again, another thing from watching movies and all kind of, I'm like, I'm in a convoy.
Yep.
of 3 whole trucks.
We're
anyway,
just starting out.
Yeah. Can't get up to Smokey and the Bandit leagues, right off the bat.
Right.
So we all pull over, and I could see those guys, they climbed on. I think we all might have had a cab over. It climbed on. Now I'm doing my wipers, and no, you know what? I take that back. I think I was in the middle because I see I'm hardly up the front of my truck, and I got 1 wiper done. The guy behind me, he's leaving already. I'm like, he's quick, or I don't know what. Okay, so me and the other guy get in the truck. I think now I'm in the back after this. And I get on the CB and I said, hey, Roadrunner, what's the problem there? You in a hurry there, buddy? And he says, man, I pulled the brakes on. I get out and the truck started sliding. It was going to slide into the back end of your truck. So I climbed up fast enough and hit the buttons and got the wheel jacked around and just missed your trailer. I'm like, okay. It was so icy out that the truck wouldn't even stand still on the shoulder.
That is icy.
But, oh man, so bad. And we ran into that when I was with one of my trainers out in Colorado, and he says, you know what, we're just going to beach it at this truck stop. Couldn't hardly get the truck in because, again, nothing but Greyhound buses, tractor trailers, a few 4-wheel drives, and everybody had called it. Yeah. Or they shut the highway down. I can't remember now, but we had to pull over there for the night. That was really bad. So had a few of those instances. That was no good. Let me see here. I did get one chance to take my dad with me on a local run.
That is
and
really
I know
cool.
He enjoyed the heck out of that.
Oh, that's neat.
He told me once a long time ago, he had a buddy who had a truck, and he said, hey, I'm a junior. Hey, Scotty, you want to come with me on this run and make a few bucks? He said, yeah, okay. And this was probably in the 60s. This was before I was born. And he said it was the worst experience of my life, and I never did it again. But he always enjoyed driving, drove the service truck at the gas station back when gas stations and mechanics were all in the same kind of building. He would be the guy going out in the Jeep pickup truck, the Willys Jeep pickup truck, to jump a battery or change a flat, or he enjoyed that stuff. And I was home, and I said, I have a load of, I think they were used washing machines or something. I have to go to the Sears, depot thing right down here. I'm going to stop down at the garage. I'll pick you up, and we'll go pick some stuff up. And it wasn't going to be an overnighter, but it was going to be a fun little trip for him. So he loved it. He's over in a shotgun seat, and I could just see him grinning. He had a blast.
That's fantastic. That's really cool.
I was so glad I got to take him and show him, because every time, like I said, I call home, where you at, boy? I have no idea.
That is funny.
Not-
Yeah.
But by that time, I was full-fledged in my brain. I'm Johnny Big Rigger. I have the quilted vest with the American flag. I got my chain drive wallet. I have a summer cowboy hat. I have a winter cowboy hat. I got my cowboy boots, of course.
Right.
I have my beaded wooden seat cover. You know, I got my turquoise jewelry from driving out west. I am the pitcher. I'm the man. You know.
Yes, sir.
in my freight shaker. You know.
That's it. The whole kit and caboodle.
Oh yeah, I had the whole starter kit there. You know.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you ever have gone through Effingham, Illinois, there is, or was anyway, I don't even know if they're still there. There was a blackjack knives dealer, or that's where they made them. They used to be made in the States.
Uh-huh.
And I saw this big sign. I've always been enamored with knives.
Right.
Grew up watching Tarzan reruns and always had a butter knife tucked in my belt somewhere, you know.
Yes, sir.
When I was wee little. And I'm like, blackjack knives. Ooh, truckers welcome. Whoa, turn signal. Here we go.
Yeah.
So I pulled in there, and I think I bought the biggest one they had. It's called a sub-hilt fighter. Sure, you've seen a knife with a finger guard on the front.
Yep.
This had two.
Wow.
It had one for your, like one right behind it. So there was a guard for your index finger and your middle finger. Big stacked leather handle, nice leather sheath. So I wore that all the time with my chain drive wallet and all my other trucker gear.
Right.
That was funny.
That's great.
I do have some pictures of, I was going to get home for July 2nd. For some reason, I was going to have a few days off. And I called home and I said, Mom, I'm not going to be home for 4th of July, but I am going to be home for the 2nd of July. Can you throw something together? Let's have a little cookout, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No problem. So I dumped the trailer down at our garage. We had a big parking area across the street from the garage. And bobtailed it up to the house. And I just drove in and I tried to, you know, of course, after hugs and kisses, Mom and Dad and my aunt and everyone in the house there,
right.
I tried to, in the house, I don't know if you ever experienced this, I couldn't do it. I couldn't sleep not in the truck.
Uh-huh.
I was so used to the idle of the truck and the slight vibration of the diesel.
Right.
I said, I can't sleep. I'm wound up and I'm going to go sleep. And they didn't care, you know. So
right.
I climbed up in the bunk and fell right asleep.
That is so amazing, isn't it?
That was weird. But
yeah.
I never experienced that. But, you know, oh well. So we had a little party and I got a couple pictures of that up on the lane. And we have a little landing that was in front of Mom's house.
Uh-huh.
Enough for a normal pickup truck, not a tractor trailer.
Right.
But
gotcha.
I said, well, if they can't see this sitting here, geez, oh man. So I parked there for the night. I didn't care. Let's see here. That's all I have on the notes on here. I was trying to think of some other stuff. Oh, one other thing. Let me see here. When I was done with the Boston trip. Let me throw this out real quick.
Okay.
One of my loads was to pick up Werner ladders in PA. Pretty sure it was, or no, in PA, Greenville, North Carolina. I can't remember now, but in my Werner truck, I'm going to go pick up a load of Werner ladders. I thought that was funny. Okay. And take them to we didn't have them here in Pittsburgh, take them to like a Home Depot.
Okay.
Up around Boston area. Mm-hmm. Okay. So no problem. This turned out to be my last run. So I get this load and I head out and I'm getting up there, and I had driven on the East Coast before, but I don't know that I was in the Boston area much at this time or before this, I should say.
Right.
And while the congestion, when you're in a tractor trailer, I'm sure you guys know this, but holy cow, it was ridiculous. I'd never sat on an on-ramp that long waiting for a gap to try and pull.
Just trying to get on the highway.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm going down the road, and the way the highway was, wherever I was, I don't even remember what highway I was on. It was like 2-lane highway, and not just a normal median. It dropped down, and another road was down there with a lot of fencing, and then 2-lane highway going the other way on the other side. And wouldn't you know, the place I need to go is over there. Okay, of course. So that was a heck of a thing trying to find this place.
Right.
But eventually, though, I hit the parking lot, and that's a Sunday. That didn't dawn on me until I got in the parking lot. And Sunday at the Home Depot, and it was summertime, I think, everybody and their brother is out buying mulch and flowers, and, I need a new hose. And so I didn't see any signs, that say, hey, trucks go here.
Mm-hmm.
So I cruised through the back of the parking lot, and now I'm going straight past the front of the store with my big old tractor trailer.
Okay.
And trying not to hit any minivans or station wagons, and pulled the brakes and blocked everything up, and ran in the store and said, I got a load of ladders and And he's like, is that you in the front of the store? Yeah, you can't be there. Yeah, I figured that, guy, but I didn't see any signs on where to go. He said, yeah, go to the end of the lot, go back around and get behind our building. Well, I found it eventually, but in the front of the store, that's all tight parking for cars and normal, four-wheelers. So
right.
I, once again, didn't run anybody over, thank God, but I made it to the back of the store. But after I dropped that off, there was, I think, some words with the dispatcher. And finally realizing that he doesn't care what happens to me. He's concerned with my mileage because he gets a cut of it.
What?
I didn't know that.
I had no idea. That's weird.
Yeah. I did, and it wasn't a lot, but the more miles that I put on, he got a cut of it.
Wow.
So another driver told me that, and I said, oh, is that why he's kind of pushy? Okay, I see. Now, they never told me to fudge the logbook or do anything illegal, but
right.
There was nothing but push. Go, get the miles in.
Right.
And I understand you're not making any money if you're sitting still or sleeping or playing around in the truck stop. I get that, but some of it seemed to me a little not safe. But, again, I'm the new guy, so
right.
There were some words about this run, and now they told us right when I got there in the safety meeting or whatever, if you're going to quit, because this has happened to us before, don't just stop the truck in the middle of Amarillo and get on a Greyhound and go home.
Right.
How about try, we understand this is not for everybody. And if you're really, you just, what, I've had it. Try and get back to a depot at the very least, so we don't have to go fetch the truck.
Right.
Okay, which I did. I drove it back to, again, wherever the thing was in Ohio. Went past my house. I felt like just going to my house and parking, like, your truck is in Oakmont. But I didn't. I didn't want to do that. Called mom and dad, and I said, I think I've had my fill.
Right.
And the old man rented another minivan to come get me. And so I drove back to the depot, and I said, I think I've had my fill. Mm-hmm. I'm good. And voiced my opinion on a few different things, and not only just bad, because I hate when people do that. I gave a little bit of both sides of the coin, and turned in my keys, and the old man picked me up. They were so happy I was off the road. They were so afraid for me all the time, which I found out later.
Right.
I was maybe, 23, 4, 5 somewhere when I was doing this. And when I was 10 years old, my sister got killed by a drunk driver.
Oh, wow.
And she was 19.
Mm-hmm.
So mom and dad kind of clung to me a little bit because of that. And they were just scared to death that I'm out all over the country and Canada driving this tractor trailer. So they were happy I made it home. But shortly after I got home, again, nothing to do, didn't want to go back to the bicycle shop. And this Swanson's truck driving school, one of their little perks was lifetime placement.
Right.
And there's a board with, all kind of jobs on it. So I went down there one day and I see a job for a local guy. And I highly doubt he is even trucking anymore, but I have no idea. We're just going to call him Howie.
Okay.
And Howie drove local, had a flatbed, had a, could be saying this wrong, but something he called a wet line dump trailer. Maybe it just because it had a huge hydraulic pump and he could dump stuff. I'm not sure.
Okay.
He was a one-man band. He also owned not a construction company, but a demolition company. He would go and knock down an old house you didn't want, or he just kind of did a bunch of things, and trucking was one of them.
Right.
And so I went and met with him and told him, here, this is my experience. And he was like, okay, that sounds great. And I started driving with him. And again, he's doing all the driving. And I said, I will drive if you want, but if you want me to sit here and just be another set of eyes, I will. And he's like, yeah, okay. Now he drove a bunch, and this was a hood, but it was a day cab. So there was nothing, and two bucket seats, two shotgun or two just normal seats in it. And we're going down a road, a 2-lane blacktop road, and I'm looking out the passenger window, and I feel something bump my left arm, and I look over. This guy is up out of the seat, standing right behind the shifter, steering still, and he starts yelling at me, get in the driver's seat, get in the driver's seat. And we're slowly veering off the road. I'm like, holy Christ. Okay, so I run over, I jump in the driver's seat. Now he's driving shotgun. We're going 40 or 50 mile an hour, I don't know. And now I'm driving. And I says, what the hell was that all about? He goes, we just passed a cop back there, and I got 3 points on my license now. And if we get pulled over, boy, I'm in for it. And I'm looking at him like, oh, so it's okay if I get points on my license. What a dirtball.
Yes, exactly.
Holy cow. So,
oh my word.
I wasn't with that guy very long either. Like this nut job, he's going to kill me.
Yes.
I did get a little bit of experience with a flatbed because I drove just a van for Werner, not even a reefer or anything. Just so he had this flatbed, and he told people that he had a smelter, and he would pick up crushed tractor trailer cabs, and we'd chain them down, and he'd say, well, I melt these down at my place, and then I scrap the aluminum. And I don't know why he did that, because all we would do is go to the local scrapyard with them crushed and get dirty aluminum weight, for it.
Right.
Never understood that whole, I have a smelter and I'm melting these down. I didn't understand it, but that was his little story. So, okay. And then he stiffed me on my last paycheck.
Wow. Nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I tried to, go to the magistrate or do whatever. I never got any satisfaction out of that. So I just chalked that up to, well, don't drive for a local
lunatic
nut job like that guy.
Yeah. Yes. Good advice to yourself, isn't it? That's good advice to everybody out there.
Yeah. Geez, man. So I did eventually get another driving job. And because I had a Class A CDL, I got hooked up at the local, when Iron City beer used to still be made in Pittsburgh, this master distributor for Iron City, we would get tractor trailers from Iron City, and we would take the straight trucks and a couple tractor trailers and then the little pickups out and to other beer distributors, to bars and whatnot around Pittsburgh. And got that job, and that was pretty good. It was only one other guy in the building with a Class A CDL. So when he was sick or off, I got to drive the tractor trailer. Otherwise, it was in a straight truck.
Right.
No big deal. Okay. So, boy, there was some real characters that worked at that place. Let me tell you. Lots of wacky things went down there. Not only just the driving, but the crew that was there delivering beer was pretty comical. One day, we had a bunch of forklifts there because we're loading and unloading trailers all day. Those guys are. This guy is out in the parking lot with the forklift, and he had a little Ford Festiva, I think, a wee little car. And he's up under the side of it with the forklift, and he's trying to tip it over on its side on some tires. And I have to come over and see what this is all about. And I said, Jay, what are you doing there, buddy? He says, I broke a brake line. Okay, well, I'm going to put this thing over on its side, fix the brake line, then I'll flip it back over and drive home. Okay, which he did.
Wow.
And it worked. Okay.
That's a plan and a half, I'll tell you that. It's different.
So it was handy, I guess. It worked for him. Wasn't, too concerned with the body work, obviously, but yeah, that worked out for him.
Wow.
So in the mornings at this place, you would go out in the straight trucks or the tractor trailers and deliver to other distributors. But in the afternoon, you would get on the stake bed pickup trucks and go deliver and do the bar runs.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one truck there that I recall that had stake bed sides. All of the other trucks, there's nothing but a wooden flatbed on the back. And so upon further inspection, I see that there are, at the edge, left and right side, there are a couple furring strips. So that when the guys would put the pallet of beer on that's wrapped up with the shrink wrap, the pallets would slightly tilt inward, and the barrels would go between those right down the middle. So if you had it loaded right and everything was shrink wrapped tight and you didn't drive like a lunatic, this would not fall off the truck. I was completely amazed at this. And you never got pulled over for this. There was a bunch of us running around.
Right.
Hey, the beer's going to fall. No, it'll be okay. And they would send me out with, other drivers to get the hang of this. And eventually I get in the stake bed. I'm on my own, and they're all stick shift, no problem. And pretty new pickup trucks, but they all got the furring strips and okay, whatever. Well, if you're familiar with Iron City, this is the way it was anyway. They had their own style of beer keg, not like a normal half barrel from Anheuser-Busch or something. That was a nice round cylinder with two handles on the top, nice sturdy base. These old Iron City half barrels and quarter barrels were more barrel shaped. They were rounder, i.e., they would tip over easier.
That changes things, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. So if you're familiar at all with the McKees Rocks Bridge, right outside of Pittsburgh, going into McKees Rocks, the quarter barrels, they were almost round. They were a little flat on the top and bottom, but they were basically round. And you hit a couple potholes, and you're trying to take empties back to the depot there.
Right.
I had a few of them go skittering down McKees Rocks Bridge. And there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it. I'm watching how many cars are these going to hit. And luckily enough, didn't hit anybody, just kind of stopped on his shoulder. I stopped, put the four-ways on, stacked them back on the flatbed, and drove even slower back to the distributor. And, oh boy, that was fun. But one load, I only ever lost one load. And I'm going to a bar, and I got like maybe 4 pallets on the back of this stake bed truck. And whatever the road was, I'm on like a little chicane. I'm going left and then a quick right. And I made the left, and I'm going on the right. I'm not going fast. I know what I have on the back. Well, I'm looking out the mirror. I can see the pallet leaning over. I didn't see that this pallet had a broken board on it. And I guess the guy loading it with the forklift, he was in too much of a hurry. He didn't see it either. So I'm going around. I got the wheel turned to the right. I'm going to the right to straighten out again on the straightaway, and I can see this pallet. There is no stopping what's about to happen. Here comes some cars from the other direction too, and it was one of those moments that just kind of slow down as you watch the craziness ensue.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this pallet of beer is going to whack this guy's car. And sure, there it goes. There's glass bottles and cans all over the place. And this guy can't stop soon enough. So he runs through them, over them, like he went through a beer car wash. It was funny, but not funny.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I put the 4-ways on and pull over and run down. And I'm, like, oh my God, are you okay? He was fine. He just startled from having all these beer bottles attack him going down the road.
Right.
And, this happens every now and again. I find out later. So they send out another stake bed truck and some brooms and the big buckets to sweep up all the mess and, okay, deliver the rest of the beer. And okay, so on and on it went. There was some odd trips down there. I thought it was just a touch of a beer snob And I kind of like my imports and some dark beers. And these guys, like the first Friday I was working, they said, "Are you going to stick around after work? We're going to have a beer." "Oh, yeah, sure, yeah." And then we had some really good stuff in this place. And I said, "What are you drinking?" And he says, "Icy Light." I said, "Are you shitting me? All that nice beer you have in there, you're going to drink an Icy Light?" He's laughing. He says, "Just trust me." Okay. Well, because we were the master distributor for them, these guys, and eventually I did too, these guys all could read the date codes on the boxes. And when the beer would come in from Iron City, this one guy would go get a couple 30 packs that were the freshest ones that we'd received that day, put them in the cooler, and that's what we had. And I'm telling you, I was never a huge fan of Icy Light. You think light beer, oh, it's Iron City, oh my God. This was the freshest, most crisp, ice cold, refreshing after Friday work day to have a couple beers. That was fantastic.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
It was really, normally, not so good with that beer, but it was really good.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. I see.
Are you familiar with Mount Washington in Pittsburgh?
Not off the top of my head. Are you Ship?
Okay,
No.
It's if you ever get to downtown Pittsburgh, try and get up to Mount Washington, and it looks over the city. You can see the point and the two rivers coming down. It's really spectacular, especially at night roll. But up at the top of Mount Washington is a beer distributor, and I go up there one day with a new guy. Now he's riding shotgun, and we're in a straight truck, and a straight truck, beer truck has the big doors that go up and down on each side. You have to pull up to this place, unload half the truck, and go maneuver, and then butt up against the curb of the other side, so you can unload the other half of the truck. It's very tight up on Mount Washington. So I did that. I'm driving, and I said to him, "Hey, Fred, flip-flop the truck around." He drove a school bus. I'm like, "You can do this, no problem. Flip-flop the truck around, and so we can unload the other side. I'm going to go in the office here and talk to, the guy running the joint." Okay. Well, we're bullshitting in the office, and I hear a lot of honking. I hear a lot of commotion. This is not sounding good for my guy that's maneuvering this truck around. So I go outside. He's got the whole of Mount Washington jacked up at this T intersection. There's cars everywhere. He's having a heck of a time maneuvering. It was also a stick shift truck that didn't have the greatest transmission in it. And I get up in there and I said, let me do it. Let me do it. And he got out, and I did what I did. I had to, ask, "Sorry about, move a couple cars. I'll get out of your way." And I drove around the block and parked. And I said, "What happened?" "I thought you drove a school bus." He says, I did." "Okay. And?" "Well, we weren't allowed to drive in reverse. I've never backed up a school bus." I said, "Why not?" He says, "You're not allowed to back up a school bus. You run the kids over. It's you have to drive around the block." I said, "Did you tell the boss that when you got hired?" "I don't remember." Okay, gotcha." So this guy couldn't back up the truck. I'm like, wow, we're going to have a little class when we get back to the shop.
This is a straight truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wasn't the greatest at shifting either. He could do it, but barely. And so now it was a nice enough guy, and I'm trying to help him. I'm like, "You should double clutch this a little. This transmission got a lot of miles on it. Be easy on it. This is not a brand new Honda, double clutch and do that." I'm trying to explain that and do this, and I think he got it because when I left, he was still there. So he must have got a handle on things.
Yeah, he figured it out
at some point.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, couldn't back up the beer truck.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Then again, I've seen we've all seen drivers who can't back up a truck, and they've been to school and they were taught how to back up.
We've all seen drivers that can't back up their own cars.
Yes, we have. We've seen drivers who can't go forward. So it's all relative.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I guess. Whenever me and the wife are out, and I got to back the Toyota, and I'm your normal guy. I got to back in every parking place.
Right.
If I don't get this perfectly between the lines, she'll give me a look like, "Oh, truck driver, huh? Okay."
Yeah, don't you love that?
And she used to drive a school bus, so she has the little bit of a right to give me some grief.
But she never backed it up.
Right.
Well, true. That's true. She's a good driver also.
That's awesome. That is really cool. If she ever wants to come on and tell us any of her stories about school bus driving, that'd be cool. Love to have her on.
Well, maybe not so much school bus, but she also, after that, drove Uber.
Oh, okay. That would be cool too.
Definitely had some stories about that one.
Oh, I'm sure she has. If she ever wants to come on, let her know. Just contact us. You've got our contact information. That'd be cool.
I'll mention it to her.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be really cool.
All right. I think I've run through my notes, and at the end of this, I have written down, I get a few stories from working in armed security detail. That has nothing to do with truck driving. Kind of funny, but not, let's see. And let me touch on this real quick. The one, when the guy was showing me how to drive without the clutch, I'd never experienced that. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it. I'm like, you would wreck the transmission. How do you do that? And he's explaining, and I get the hang of it. My current job I've had for the last 14 years is I'm a knife maker.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I work at a company. It's LT Wright Knives. And the main guy, LT, we're in his basement one day, and he's teaching me how to sharpen. Right. That's the big part of it. That's the knife's main function, And he's teaching me how to do this, and I'm changing the process a little bit once I get a little bit more experience, and I'm streamlining it. And I'm feeling pretty good about this because I got it from maybe 5 minutes down to 3 minutes a knife. And I'm thinking I'm Johnny Big Rigger with the no clutch. I know what I'm doing here.
Right.
Meanwhile, LT's been making knives for years before I even showed up, but he's just real nonchalant. He's a heck of a good guy. Very casual, nonchalant. He says to me one day, well, RW, he can sharpen a knife in 30 seconds. And I said, yeah, right. I got it down to 3 minutes, and I've been here a year. I know what I'm doing. And this guy who taught him, R.W. Wilson, who's the guy, he's passed on now, but he's the guy that made the tomahawks for the Jeremiah Johnson movie, if you've ever seen that one.
Wow, yeah. No kidding.
Yes, and he lived close to our shop in West Virginia. So he says, would you like to see this done? I said, oh, heck yeah. And it was just the timing was really right. There's probably a dozen people that work at the company now, but it was just me and him in the basement making knives at that time. And so he called RW and said, you mind if we stop over for a few minutes? Yeah, okay. I want you to show Scooter how to sharpen a knife. Yeah, okay. And we took over some hardened blanks that weren't sharp. And sure enough, 30 seconds. And again, I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it.
That is freaking awesome. Holy cow.
We can do that now. I do it every day. We can do that at the shop. It's no problem. But at the time, like, man, I got to go through all these grits of belt and the buffer and the paper check and all this stuff. Well, it's a 30-second process now. No problem. But that's after 14 years though too. So
right, yeah, no, that's really cool. That is really freaking cool. I'll tell you what, these knives are really nice too. I'm looking at his webpage. I'm like, holy crap!
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I figured I'm sitting here while you're talking about it. I'm gonna look it up.
Well, there's a bunch of goodies there on the website. And,
definitely.
We have a VIP buyers club, the Pout House, that I run, and those guys get to see all the fancy custom things that we make. I'll have to text you a couple pictures.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would really be cool. But yeah, if anybody,
Christmas is, of course, coming. Christmas is real big at the. We do a lot of Christmassy things.
Right.
And Halloween is getting bigger, and we have a theme every year. This past Halloween's theme was Godzilla, so we had a couple Godzilla themed things. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
I'm sure I've been taking up way too much of your time. I don't even know how long we've been talking here, guys.
Yeah, we're in like an hour and a half. It's not bad.
Well, I'm sure you'd edit this to whatever. But yeah. I have two stories from my security guard gig. If you just want to hear something funny.
Yeah, definitely go for it.
Okay. All right. At some point, this is sort of tied in with truck driving, maybe a little bit. A neighbor guy drove a security, like a Brinks truck. And he said, here's yours. And I drive this truck, and I had my CDL. And I said, that's pretty cool. He said, you have to get an Act 235 license to carry a sidearm for your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I, okay. So I looked into this and found a school, went and got that Act 235 license, had my sidearm, and ended up not driving the Brinks truck, ended up just at a security job at a local high-rise building with some businesses down along the bottom. So one day there's usually two guys on duty, and the one guy was a little odd, but I guess not odd enough. Somebody trusted him. Pennsylvania trusted him enough to carry a gun and fingerprint him. So I guess it wasn't too bad. But there's the little desk out front where people would come into the building through the airlock, and then there's the elevators, and then up 3 steps, there's an office. And I was in the office, and they can see on the security cameras and stuff, he's not at the desk. And so I went out of the office, and now I'm looking for him. Like, where'd this guy go? Because he didn't say, hey, I'm stepping outside for a cigarette or whatever.
Right.
So he's outside. Picture 2 sets of double glass doors, and then like a very thin row of bricks on left and right, coming down almost like a gusset on a roll cage or something like that.
Okay.
Probably decorative, but helping with strength or whatever. So he's on the left one, and I can see him hiding behind it. He has his gun out down along his thigh, and he's looking hard to the left. And so I'm like, ooh, something's going on, Mm-hmm. I'm kind of new at this. So I pull my gun out, and I got it done, and I walk up behind him, and I said, what are we looking at? He says, you see that huge group of kids down there? Yeah, this was kind of in the bad part of Pittsburgh. He says, they just got off that bus. I mean, it was like 20 or 30 young men. And they were, I don't know, looking to do no good? Maybe. Hard to say. He's like, yeah, he did go out for a cigarette, but then he spotted that. So now he's I'm like, I don't know if you got to have your gun out for this, but I didn't say anything. He's the senior man on duty. Okay. So we're watching them, and it was like Barney Fife and Barney Fife Jr., I swear. He's watching them. We both got the guns out. Eventually, they just kind of walked up the street. Very loud, boisterous. Just didn't do anything. We had a huge parking lot out front of this high-rise where all the residents, if they had a car, they'd park the car there. So he's like, okay, it looks good. Holster up. Okay, back in the holster, back in the building. Okay, that's good. There were some, I don't know how to say this. There was some people that lived in this building that dealt in not legal things, let's say. And this was told to me. Like, if you see that guy, probably ought to, he lives here, he does his thing, he doesn't mess with it, just ought to leave him alone. Like, okay. And I'm a Boy Scout from the word go. I can't help it. That's just the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
I see this. I'm on the camera. I'm looking at the security cameras. I see this guy. He's on premise. He's talking to a guy. There's some sort of deal going down. So I said to the guy in the office, I'm going out for a walk. Okay. So I go out. Now, I don't know if you ever worked a security detail. We were allowed to have a sidearm. And at one point, the sergeant says to me, you should look as much like a Pittsburgh cop as possible. One, these guys might not know you're just a armed security guard. Two, if something really does go down and the cops do show up here, we want to make real certain that they know that you're a good guy. Because if you look like them and you have the gear on like them, okay, I understand. I got it.
Right.
And I did. I had the uniform they supplied was crappy, so I got a nicer uniform. And I had my sidearm, and I had the taser, took the taser class, and had the LBE outfit with all the stuff on it. And, I looked like I just got off a SWAT truck, but, it is what it is. So I go walking out of the airlock and down through the parking lot. Now, they can see me coming, and they know who I am. And I walked up right between them, and I'm sure that I busted up whatever was going on. And I said, how you guys doing tonight? And I'm looking at them now, a little cocky, shouldn't have done that, but I did. And the one guy, he kind of looked me up and down and just said with his face, "You should walk away now." So his customer, we'll call him, he left because he wasn't real excited that I went out there. And then this guy gave me the look and he walked away. And then I went back in the building. And then the guy in the office, like, "What did you just do?" I said, "They're on premise. They're doing, and he says, "Well, you shouldn't really do that." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I didn't do that. And then one other time, I'm walking through the parking lot, checking the grounds. You had to walk around the outside perimeter of the building, make sure all the doors are locked to the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I found one that was not locked. And I opened it. And this is a business that isn't there anymore, but these doors should all still be locked, of course,
Right.
So I probably should have just went back to the office. I think I might have been there by myself at that time. I can't remember now. But so out with the gun, out with the flashlight. This is a pretty empty room in here. And I'm looking around and I'm yelling, "Hello, security, da, da, da." Well, you could see that somebody was sleeping in there and bunked out, that they weren't there. So I left and called the Pittsburgh cops, and they showed up, and I sort of jammed up something against the front door, and they said, "If somebody shows up, just call us." "Oh, okay." And one other time, I'm walking the grounds again. I'm outside. I'm out at the far end of the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
Checking out the dumpsters and the cars and, parked cars and whatnot, make sure nothing's broken into. And I'm looking back at the building. It's a 20-story high rise.
Okay.
And I think maybe I'm counting the floors of this as this guy's yelling at me. He was maybe on the 6th floor. And I know who he was. He was a little shaky in the head, but, safe, more or less.
Right.
He's hanging out the window and he's yelling. He's crying. He's yelling, "Kenny's dead. Kenny's dead. Oh my God, Kenny's dead." And then he goes back in the window.
Uh-huh.
Is he watching South Park? Is he messing with me? Or, I'm like, well, of course I got to check that out. Back in the building, up the elevator, 6th floor, and there's an open door, and he's in there. And this was his buddy's apartment,
Uh-huh.
and his buddy had passed away. Kenny was in fact dead.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, and I'd never seen a dead body before.
Right.
And I go in, and this guy's on the couch, and this guy's crying, and I'm trying to console him. And now here come some other neighbors in, and I'm like, whoa, we can't have all these people in this man's apartment. You got to get out of here. And I had an experience. I had to call the cops and call the coroner, and all kind of stuff. That was a little odd, but
Yeah,
I thought he was messing with me. He was not messing at all with me.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
Little weird. And I almost had to deliver a baby once.
Wow.
This young lady come down in the elevator, and you could see her pants were soaked.
Uh-huh.
And she said, "My water just broke." Obviously she's pregnant. I can see it. And I never saw a dead body, never delivered a baby. All kind of fun stuff on this job.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the sergeants had one point said to me, we had a bulletproof vest on with a trauma plate right in the center of your chest.
Uh-huh.
There was a little pocket there. And one guy says, "Always carry a pair of rubber gloves right there in that little pocket, just in case. You don't want to touch stuff, I'm
Right.
like, good idea." So I hurry up and dialed 911, and she's going, I got her into the lounge sitting on the bench, and she's like, "I don't know if I can wait for an ambulance." And I call 911. I got my rubber gloves on, and this is Officer Wickham. I'm at security, and I have a young lady here whose water broke. Will you, as fast as humanly possible, send an ambulance to this address? And she's, sweating, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to deliver a baby. Luckily, the ambulance showed up, and I did not have to deliver a baby.
Amen to that, brother.
Holy cow. I talk about nervous and sweaty there.
Tag, you're it.
Man.
Oh, my word. Oh,
I'll trade some truck driving for this one because I don't know if I can do this one.
Yep. Exactly.
A little scary.
Yes.
But thank God, nothing. She was fine. Went in the ambulance. Okay, all good.
Yeah, good deal.
And then I end up leaving that job for I don't know why. Got another. I don't know what the heck I was doing. I think I might have started at the knife shop. That's how long ago that was.
Wow, yeah. Well, you have had an interesting life, an interesting career going on here.
I've had a few different jobs.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's not all of them. And there's probably some more wacky stories from the bicycle shop or from the beer place. I don't know if I attract these crazy people like a magnet. I'm not sure why, but I get close to them and it's entertaining, makes the day go by.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It makes it interesting, keeps life interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, listen,
I think that's about all I got.
That's that was awesome. We had a great time talking with you, Scott. It was a lot of fun. This was really interesting. This is it was just like I said. You've done a lot of different things, and you tell the stories well. You really do. You relay them well. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate your time and your coming in and talking with us. And we just hope you have a really great holiday season coming up.
Back to you guys too. I hope you have a great Christmas and everything else coming up. Happy New Year and all that fun stuff.
Yep, you got it. Hang on for a second. We're going to close things out. Just hang on with us for a minute or two.
Okay.
We enjoyed doing this show. We hope you enjoyed the show. And Shipper's looking at me like, what?
I forgot. Did we or did we not do the intro?
Yeah, we kind of sped through the intro. But anyway, if they enjoyed the show, Shipper, what can they do?
They can share the show, share with anybody, everybody, and whoever else you come up with.
Yep.
Just share the show.
Exactly.
So with that, keep the hammer down the hammer lane. Have a good night.
Amen. See ya.
You cut them off.
Oh, I did. I hit the wrong one.
You'll never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams. Better from above. Nothing's ever as it seems, yeah, except in that world that I dream of. Never gonna lose the ones I love. Never gonna lose the ones I love. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but